This is the last tech ever before Kane and I go to Germany. Thanks to Adorama for sponsoring this episode. They have a couple new wireless lavalier sets on their website that are really interesting, especially for SLR shooters. The Rode is simple, it just works, and it sounds really good. Plus, the range is about 100 meters, runs on AA batteries. We used it all over Quakecon and had a lot of success with it. We're going to use that, and we're also going to use the Sennheiser AVX ME2 while we're in Germany. Now, this one is all metal construction. It's made in Germany, has XLR, and it comes with an adapter so that you can plug it right into your digital SLR. So both of these units are really interesting and attractive, especially for shooters with SLR cameras. Both these units are currently on sale, and they're new, so go ahead and check them out just by clicking on the screen or click on the link in the description. And this is going to be maybe a shorter episode, I'm not sure, maybe we'll talk way too much, but I've got to get on a plane, like literally tonight, to fly to pick up Kane. You know what's really funny? I didn't even realize it. I looked at my itinerary today and I'm connecting. And I'm actually picking up Kane on the way because when I connect, my connecting flight is there in New York. And I was like, hey, what's your flight out of New York? And he told me, I was like, I'm picking you up on the way, dude. So it's going to be really funny. If you guys are in, we'll be in Belgium first. And we're going to be in Brussels. So if you guys are in Brussels on the 1st or the 2nd, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter or even on the forum would be a better place. And then we're going to be in Cologne next. After that, we're kind of open. We're hoping to go to CERN. So if any of you guys out there know anyone at CERN, we've been sort of beating the bushes, and I've contacted a few people that I know there, or, I guess people that I know who know people there, but haven't really gotten in the door just yet. But what we want to do is we want to talk about, a little bit about the new quark that they've discovered. And Wendell had a great idea. Wendell was like, why don't you do just a really interesting but also kind of funny, just a day in the life of a physicist. Like, what do they do all day? It's like, we check the spreadsheets. It sounds romantic, but it may not be, and we could probably turn that into something a bit funny. So if you are perhaps working at CERN and you want to, get involved, please jump on our forum or contact us, and we will be there. So we're leaving the whole rest of the trip the next week after Gamescom open in hopes that we're going to do that. And we may actually also go hiking with some of the members of Elvwaiti, so Switzerland could be a lot of fun, and I'm sure Germany will as well. We might be in Munich, so guys, just let us know where you guys are, and we'll see what we can do. There we go. I think the announcements are out of the way. Anything else going? Any craziness on your end other than working too much?
No, not really anything. We've got Windows 10, which we're going to talk about as for insanity. Skylake is coming up at some point, maybe, possibly. I heard. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows this?
Okay, so this man in Kentucky, he shot a drone that was hovering around in his backyard. Do you know this guy? Because everyone in Kentucky knows everyone in Kentucky, right? William Meredith.
I reckon.
You reckon you know him? So, yeah, he shot down a drone in his backyard. I guess the only reason I'm even bringing this up is it was on his property. What do you guys think? Do you guys think he should have to pay for the drone? Do you think that he was totally right to go out there and shoot the drone that was hovering over his backyard? And, this may have been a hobby drone or whatever, but let's say that, hey, the government's flying a drone around over your property. What happens then if you shoot it down? Are you allowed to shoot it down? What if they say you can't shoot it down? That's some interesting stuff to chew on right there, because drones are going to be everywhere in the near future, I think. I think they're going to start using them for all sorts of different things. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Would you have shot it down?
It's sort of interesting. It's just south of Louisville, so it's not really an especially rural place. And just reading the quotes from the guy, it doesn't sound completely unreasonable just based on the thing, because he said, well, it was just hovering. It wasn't really flying over my property. It was sort of hovering, looking at my back porch. And so, I loaded my shotgun with number 8 birdshot and took it out. And it's like, well, maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I've kind of agreed too. If it like zips by and someone's just like accidentally crosses over the corner of your property, it's like some idiots with the hobby thing. But yeah, hovering. What if they've got a camera strapped to that thing and they're trying to look in your daughter's window or whatever? Not cool. I would take it down with a bazooka. I'd be out there with some freaking surface-to-air missiles taking the thing down. Then I'd be on the paper, and my beard would be sideways, and I'd be all on the paper like this, beard over here, like, man tries to shoot down drone with land-to-air missile. Accidentally puts out the sun.
He used the correct kind of ammunition, too. I mean, birdshot is probably the ideal thing for taking out a drone without being the minimal amount of thing to actually injure somebody. I mean, number 8 is about the size of a pinhead. So that is pretty effective for taking out a drone, but also posing the least amount of danger to the general public, or, versus like a 22 rifle or a 308 rifle or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, shooting up, you always have to worry about the bullet coming back down, but stuff like this, it probably won't even hurt that much if it lands on someone after it goes up and comes back down. Anyway, you ready to move on and talk about Windows 10?
Windows 10 has been thrust upon us.
Whether you like it or not. Let's first off talk about the privacy issues, because I think as far as our show goes, that's probably, and our audience, that's probably the foremost thing on your mind. Now, Windows 10 has introduced a number of new features. Cortana is one of them. They have more deeply integrated everything into their own services, and they're being very blatant about all the stuff that they want to collect. For instance, they say right in the terms of service some stuff like, we're going to collect everything you do. That includes things you type, messages you send, emails, things you say. All that stuff is up for grabs. They're going to collect it. They're going to use it to help marketers better market to you. And they're going to create a unique profile for every single person on your machine. So there's an identifier. When you log on, they know it's you, and that way they can track you specifically. Now, there are other implications here, because they haven't said anything about whether or not they would be comfortable selling your information to the government or even giving your information out. It looks like they will, because I guess if you read between the lines, it seems like they're totally willing to cooperate with people who come and ask, hey, we need this data. That seems like it's not, like I said, black and white so that I've seen yet, but it's a bit worrying.
The actual text says, we will access, disclose, and preserve personal data, including your content, such as the content of your emails and other private communications or files in private folders, when we have a good faith belief that doing so is necessary to protect our customers or to enforce terms governing the use of the services. Now, to protect our customers, okay, but to enforce the terms governing the use of the services is kind of a circular logic thing there. It's like, well, if whatever's in the terms, whatever goes. I don't know. There's a lot of this stuff that this article points out that is like as if it's new in Windows 10, but it's really not new in Windows 10. It's things that have been a part of those services for a long time. Like, for example, they mentioned BitLocker. So BitLocker is Microsoft's full disk encryption. It's actually reasonably implemented in terms of the level of security, but it backs up your key to OneDrive. So like the decryption key for decrypting your BitLocker encrypted hard drives, like if it's stolen and the criminals get access to it, they boot off USB, they're not going to be able to do much with it because the platform is going to protect your data and it's going to be encrypted. But that decryption key is stored on OneDrive. So that means that an intelligence agency could access it, or if you work in a corporation and some other government is interested in whatever you're doing in your corporation, chances are they could recover your BitLocker key from OneDrive ahead of stealing your laptop or ahead of stealing your device, and then use that to recover your information. So I'm not really sure what sort of steps that you have to opt out of. It does seem like they put settings inside the operating system, but I would be happier if they had a more centralized control panel that was something along the lines of, okay, you want to have the operating system operate in basically a completely standalone mode. Let's actually do that. And I think you can do a lot of that through group policy. But for regular ordinary people that are going to do this through the UI, it's sort of a pain, because Cortana is really deeply integrated. Search is really deeply integrated. The documents folder and other things like that, in the name of convenience, is really deeply integrated. So the people that were up in arms about search on Linux, on Ubuntu, going to Amazon, it's like that times a million. So it's of some concern.
Yeah, and a lot of these things are just turned on by default. So you actually have to go in and make an effort to turn them off. And, when you first boot up the operating system, when you're first doing the installation, it'll ask you, they give you several yes and no. Do you want us to share your data? Do you want us to come and sleep with you, and then wake you up at 2 in the morning by gnawing on your ear? Those are little, check boxes. You can turn them on or off. But there are
Except for the account.
There's plenty more.
Account?
Yeah. Well, like, you can install without offline.
Not a Microsoft account, and then it's like, well, I don't want a Microsoft account, and so it's like you don't not want a Microsoft account, right? And it's like
turns into a Bugs Bunny thing where you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but I think you're right, and then Bugs Bunny laughs and eats a carrot. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
you get a
I
Microsoft
installed
account
it.
whether or not you want one.
Yeah, I installed it on the laptop over here just to check it out, and I made sure that there was no internet connection whatsoever. Unplugged it, made sure there was no Wi-Fi, just to be sure that it would not force me to use the live account. And I've got it running with a local account only, and that seems to be doing okay. Whenever I clicked on Cortana to see what would happen, it was like, sorry, we need you to log in. OneDrive, it's like, we're sorry, we need you to log in. So it seems like a lot of that junk is going to be specifically through the live account. I'm sure they're doing things to monitor regardless, because it's in the terms of service saying that they can. But without the live account, it's going to limit a lot of things you do. And even if you do have a live account and you want to use Cortana, Time was speculating, Time Magazine or Time website or whatever, they were speculating that this is going to be a huge blow to Google. Now that people have Windows 10, they're going to start relying on Cortana, and Cortana, the back end, is Bing. So instead of using Google, they think people are going to just start using this because it's so easy. You can sit at your computer and say like, whatever, I don't know, OK, Cortana, whatever, and get all your search results from Bing. So I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I think Bing makes Cortana a little weaker than it should be, and also I'm not going to log in. I'm just not going to use Cortana. That's it. I might do it on a dummy account just so we can make some videos about it, but no Cortana for me.
Cortana kind of reminds me of like, one of the old James Bond films. It's like, she's a spy. She's not working for you. Can you dupe her into doing sort of counterintelligence things where she's useful, but she's not actually gathering, useful intelligence in the name of Mother Russia or whoever the enemy was in those old Bond films. And it's kind of like that with Cortana. It's like, Mother Microsoft, I don't know. It's probably not good they're building a profile on me. This is probably bad.
Yeah, who knows what they're going to do with that. I just need all the programs that I use daily to be available on Linux. That's all I really need, and then I'll be happy in life. But I'm still relying on Windows for so many damn things. And hey, I'm going to say this right now. Windows 10 is really pretty. And thank you guys, Microsoft, for making the UI prettier. Thank you for moving the icons closer together on the taskbar. It just looks much cleaner. I could get rid of the live tiles, but it really is a big step ahead of Windows 8.1 with several compromises. The other thing that's kind of weird is it by default will share all of your friends among you and your friends. It'll share all the SSIDs and passwords and that sort of thing when you connect to different networks. It's like, hey, we're all friends together here. So it just like if you go over to a coffee shop that your friend went to and you authenticate, when you get there, it'll just automatically have the password and stuff. So that's a bit weird.
That is a bit weird. I didn't know it did that. I was
well, it
say
does.
The tablet
yeah, it shares this passwords. Yeah, it's weird.
Wow, that is weird. I was going to say the tablet experience. So like on the Surface Pro 3, upgraded to Windows 10. I've been on Windows 10 for actually a little while because I did the insider thing on it because I don't care. It's I've spread all kinds of disinformation on the Surface Pro 3 anyway. It thinks that I'm an Inuit mother of 7 living in Alaska or something. But
that Alaskan VPN must take forever.
It's not too bad. I can deal with it. And the tablet experience is actually not bad. There are a couple of really dumb things that they did with the tablet experience, like they reworked the Surface when it's in tablet mode, but it's actually pretty good about figuring out if you should be in tablet mode or desktop mode. So they actually beat Linux to the punch on this. If you've been watching the other videos or some of the stuff on Tech Linux, I've put Linux on the Surface Pro 3 as well, and Unity and the new like Desktop 8, and farted around with that, and the current betas on that. And I really thought Canonical would have beat Microsoft to the punch on the whole tablet laptop hybrid. But what has happened with Windows 10 is actually not bad. And actually, here's the mind-blowing thing that probably will make you think that I've been replaced with a clone, and that is the Spartan browser on the Surface Pro 3 is actually not terrible. It's a web browser from Microsoft that is actually okay. It's fast, it's responsive, it's very good in a touch interface. I really don't like it as much with the mouse in sort of a traditional use case, but using it in a tablet in both a portrait and a landscape configuration, it's actually okay. It's not a terrible experience. It loads well, it renders pages quickly, it doesn't let pages that have a lot of ads or JavaScript really bog down. It almost seems like it's got a form of Adblock in it or something, because it knows which things on the page are ads and seems to deprioritize loading ads. Like watching things come in, it's like, is Adblock? Oh, they're the ads.
Are they still calling it
design or what that is?
Are they still calling it Spartan on the on mobile, or they've changed the name to Edge now that it's fully released? Because it's Edge on. It's just Edge now, right?
Yeah.
So formerly known as Spartan, now Edge. For any confusion out there, but yeah, used to be Spartan, now it's Microsoft Edge. So I mean,
could also be because I don't have any plugins. So
that's the other thing. It doesn't have. Well, it also doesn't seem to have as robust of a plugin support system. Or if it does, there's just not as many there as there are on like Chrome and Firefox. And that, but that is going to give you a bunch of extra speed. It's going to use less RAM overall. And really people have been saying nice things about it. I mean, Microsoft is really building a ginormous machine to collect data. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're letting this operating system go for free to owners of the previous operating systems. Is they've built a giant spider web to catch all your data. And that's where the value is. When something's free and it's not open source and you didn't work on it yourself, you know who the product is. All right. Let's see if I have anything else to talk about here about Windows. Oh, Balmer, this is great. I love this.
The environment's work. Wait just 1 minute before you answer. Watch as Windows integrates.
This is where they used to be.
With Miami Vice. Now we can take this for all.
How much would you expect?
Right
Don't answer.
Now, how much
that wasn't real. That was like an internal video. It's like the Napoleon Dynamite internal Microsoft videos.
Good. So yeah, if you guys want to see some other ones
before the internet.
There's some videos that are not internal. There's Ars Technica put together the most the mortifying, terrifying Windows promo videos of years past. They're amazing. I mean, they're oh my god.
Well, they've got a Windows Vista video on here.
Yeah.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger is not going to be upgrading to Windows 10. You know why, right?
Why?
I still love Vista, baby.
Well, thanks for the thumbnail. All right, Microsoft. I think I'm over talking about Microsoft. Let's talk about China. That's always fun. Now, China, in the city of Dongguan, they set up the first factory it's completely unmanned. It's a factory of robots. And these robots, how many people did they replace? 650 workers were normally required about a month ago. Now they've only got 60 workers, and soon there's only going to be 20 workers. Now this robot, they make some cell phone components and that sort of thing. And what's interesting is productivity has gone up about, a lot. Let's see here, the exact thing. A regular employee can make about 8,000 pieces per month. The product defect rate has dropped 25% as well. So the robots are doing a better job, making way more. So all these jobs have been displaced. Now here's going to be the funny part. As soon as this happens, everyone's going to start complaining that everyone's losing their jobs to robots. But as soon as, you put those people back into work, the same people that are complaining about that are going to start complaining that the working conditions are terrible for these people and people shouldn't be working in factories. So which is it, everybody? Would you rather have robots do the job, or would you rather have people do jobs that are repetitive and boring and demoralizing and make you go crazy? Which one would you rather have, huh? Some people are actually cut out to work in factories. I know a lot of people who work in factories who enjoy just going there, doing the thing, and then going back home and having a separate life. Anyway, that's going to happen.
Robots should do stuff robots are good at. But this is one of the things that Asus is always talking to us about is whenever we're like an event and Asus is showing off all their new stuff, they always talk about how the reference design, NVIDIA sort of designs their graphics cards, and Asus always takes those and reworks those, and they say, look, we've reworked them so that they're not the cheapest thing that you can possibly make, that instead it is the thing that can be completely made in a completely automated way. It's not necessarily the cheapest, but by doing that, we increase the quality and, lower the defect rate and make it to where it's completely automatable and that sort of thing. So I always think it's interesting when I read about Foxconn and these other companies that are actually tooling up their production lines to actually be completely automated. It's really interesting. And this is a 10-to-1 reduction in labor, going from over 600 employees to just 60. That's companies, especially in the West, are going to really sit up and notice that. I mean, Apple's going to be like, you mean we can, all those people that keep committing suicide that are working for us, we can just have robots do it? That sounds great. Let's put it in the southwestern United States and call it a day, which I think they're already working on.
Mm-hmm. The other interesting thing about this is it's going to free those people up to do other things which they normally wouldn't have done, because there are a lot of people over there in China. There's a lot of people everywhere. And without those jobs, they're still going to need jobs. So I'm thinking that some of those people who are normally reliant upon these jobs, they're going to have to get creative. And we may end up seeing some breakthroughs because people are now able to do other things, if that makes any sense. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. But freeing up people or releasing them from one thing, sometimes it seems scary because they definitely need the money. Some people are living hand to mouth. But sometimes the best medicine is to go ahead, burn the bridge, and let them go, and then see if they catch themselves. Some people are not going to catch themselves either, but that's the way of it. Now in Dongguan, they're planning on doing this to an additional 1,000 to 1,500 factories by 2016. So we're going to see a lot of robots out there, and it's interesting when you see the robots replacing people, because in China the wages are pretty low, and sometimes even with having 600 employees, sometimes it's cheaper, especially in the short term, just to keep paying those employees, because the robots do cost quite a bit of money. So now that we're seeing sort of a shift, maybe the robots are getting less expensive, maybe they're becoming a little bit more conscientious of human rights concerns, but I think it'll be interesting to watch. Anyway, so what else do we have? I think we have some more. Oh, yeah, more news from China. Have you seen the $48,000 Tesla Model S knockoff right here from China? It's extremely similar. It even is almost as fast. 62 miles per hour in 5.6 seconds, 348 horsepower, and it looks a lot like a Tesla. A little different. I mean, they're calling it a Tesla clone, but I think it looks different enough. Maybe it's pretty. It's the logo and everything in the middle is kind of close. I don't know.
My favorite feature about this car is apparently a factory feature, is that it comes with the little red sweeper light thing from Knight Rider.
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to have to go.
Sign me up. I'll pre-order. It sounds great.
It'll go 167 miles on a full battery charge. So we're not sure if this is going to come out yet or not, but right now we just have, prototypes and ideas and that sort of thing. But they say it could happen. I don't know. Would Tesla sue? I don't even know.
For now, car enthusiasts and Hasselhoff fans alike will have to wait in anticipation for the new generation Knight Industries 2000. Honestly.
So the OnePlus 2 was recently announced, and it's actually not that different than the OnePlus 1. Just slightly. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM. Very similar screen. The screen is supposed to be a little bit better. I think the screen that they're using is actually going to be closer to what the LG G4 had, a brighter, more vibrant screen. And I think a lot of people are going to like that, because some people did complain that the screen wasn't bright enough. I think it's plenty bright enough for me, but I usually don't go out in the sun. So it's interesting. Go ahead.
It's a 5.5-inch 1080p IPS LCD, which
I think
was
that
cutting edge.
I thought it was 1440p.
Is it?
I know the article here says 1080p, but I don't think they're right. Oh, they said it isn't at 1440. Never mind. I thought it was. I'm going to bring up the specs just to verify that Extreme Tech is correct. But yeah, go ahead and talk.
So we saw this on the Zenfone 2, and I think that was actually one of the weakest points in the Zenfone 2 is that it's cool, 1080p IPS LCD. Those things drink the power, and so if they're using that, then hopefully they're using a version that is more advanced than the one that's in the Zenfone 2, because the one that's in the Zenfone 2 drinks power. It is not power efficient at all, or maybe it's the implementation. I don't know. But the OLED screen that's like in the Moto X, by contrast, is much more power sippy than 1080p IPS LCD. So I'm really surprised that they would go for that, because I think that's going to make it more difficult for them to have really a high-end feature phone.
Yeah, you're right. It is 1080p. I brought up the specs. Yeah.
After having messed with the Zenfone 2 and the Zenfone 2 only being $300, which some people have gotten Windows 7 to boot on through, well, they're running VirtualBox under Linux, but still, it's got enough RAM and horsepower to do that. It's this is going to be a little lackluster, I think.
Yeah, the other thing that's pretty interesting about this, they're classifying this again as the it's the flagship killer, right? Well, they did do something that I was begging them to do. Now there's 2 SIM slots, but we still don't have micro SD. And a phone this size, how hard could it be to put a micro SD card somewhere in there? I know they want it to be a completely enclosed, unit, and a lot of that is because shipping. When you ship something that has a detachable battery, you have to pay 2 different fees. One for the batteries are totally different. But when you have the battery integrated, it's like a totally different thing when you ship it. So it's actually much cheaper to do it integrated like this. And that's one of the ways that they keep the price down, is by keeping it so sealed off. It becomes one unit, ships with the battery inside instead of the battery being separate in the box.
Yeah, the 64 gig version is only $389, which is not $700, but still, it remains to be seen if it's going to be a good value. I'd like to know, I'd like to have some assurances that that screen is a low power screen and that you're going to get a solid day of heavy use or 2 days of normal use.
Yep. It also does not have the what's the near field thing? The I've forgotten what it's called.
Wireless.
Yeah, it does not have that. It does not have the Qi wireless charging. So there's a lot of key features here compared to the flagships that are missing. But I still think it's going to be a pretty amazing phone. And the Oxygen OS that they've developed is also going to be specifically made for this phone. So it should be really fast based upon that. Yeah. And also, it's not USB 3 either. So, I don't know. I'm slightly let down here. But still think it's pretty cool. I used the LG G4 for about a week. And I'm back on the OnePlus One right now. Because I can't hold on to the damn thing. It slips out of my hands. And I even went and got the leather back cover, spent money on that, put it on there, and I still can't hold on to the damn LG G4. There's something about the shape, and I hate the buttons in the back. I've decided that the placement of the volume buttons being right in the center by the camera drives me crazy. So I actually went back to the OnePlus One, even though the LG G4 is quite a bit better. It's weird. If anyone knows of a good case to make it nice and grippy without making it too bulky, because I ordered some cases, they were all too bulky. Let me know, because I wouldn't mind using the LG G4 a little more. All right, let's head over to Sri Lanka, where Google has been messing around with their Project Loon, and soon it looks like Sri Lanka is going to be the first country to have completely free internet access to everyone, and it's brought to you by Google. It's going to be it looks like 3G just everywhere in Sri Lanka, so that's pretty good. 25,000 square miles. So it's not the biggest country in the world, so it's a good place to start, but they're going to be bringing, the free internet. Now, I guess Zuckerberg's been trying to do this with his free internet, but it's a little different than Google's free internet. Google, they want you to get online, and they're not putting a gazillion restrictions on how you can get online, whereas, like Facebook, they had all these weird rules, and it was sort of prioritized towards stuff that Facebook wanted you to do and wanted you to see. Google knows that if you're online, you're probably going to be using Google stuff. So that's really the thing. The more people on the internet, the more people who are probably going to be using Google stuff. So that's kind of what they're doing.
Didn't Google do free wireless for San Francisco or something? And it was great for like the first year, and then everybody was using it, and then it was just god awful. Did that project finally die? Maybe somebody in San Francisco can let us know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And these balloons that are floating around, I'm not sure how many people can connect to them at the same time. So, I mean, we're going to get to the point where we have 1 million balloons floating around. So,
they're constantly landing and taking off until we have an AI balloon network. And then we have AI balloon Skynet.
Sri Lanka,
that's less intimidating.
There's 20 million people in Sri Lanka, and only about 3 million of them have internet access. So I wonder what it's going to do when the next 17 million all of a sudden have internet access. That can change a lot of things. It'd be kind of interesting. All right. Check this out. Our sponsor message from us. Guys, the design of the month right here, Beijing Skyline. This is like right this minute is your last chance to get it, because on the 1st of August, we're going to have a brand new design of the month that's going to be freaking awesome as well. But that's it. This is your last chance to grab the Beijing design of the month, so go ahead and grab that one up. And while you're there, we've got these new shirts that are, I forget what game this is based on here. It's God Mode, and there's like a Space Marine looking character right here. I don't think he has a name, or I don't know his name if he has one. But so there's a couple of those shirts on there. Those are doing well, and they did well at Quakecon, so thanks to everybody who's grabbing those up. We'll be making more of those ASCII art shirts. Let us know what you'd like to see, like, which old school stuff you'd like to see an homage to in the store. Last but not least, we have the Dallas skyline that's pretty new, and I freaking love the way the artist did the water in this. I mean, it's Dallas, so this one's actually not selling like crazy, and it's going to be a limited edition. After we sell out of this one batch, they're gone. But I think that out of all of them, it's not my favorite city. It's like the smallest city that we've done a shirt for, but I think it's one of the prettiest. I really, really freaking love the way the artist did the water. So I'll put the artist information here as well, so you guys can go see some of his other stuff. He's working on a true like 8-bit racing game. Looks pretty cool, but yeah. All right, so moving right along then. DEF CON is coming up. We're going to be in Germany, so we're going to end up missing it this year down in Vegas. But DEF CON's coming up, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of interesting things that we'll have plenty of interesting things to talk about as soon as we see what goes on at DEF CON. One of them is going to be this. This is sort of an RFID hacking device, and it's now the same guy. You guys have probably seen these little kits. You can go and you can build a kit, and it'll essentially let you steal someone's information. Like they've got their card with the I forgot what it's called, the touch technology or whatever, the silly thing that you can just tap it. Well, if they have RFID. One of those in their pocket, yeah, well, it's the RFID, but I forgot what the actual marketing term for it is, like where you can take your credit card and just tap or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. But anyway, if someone has one of those, you can sneak up behind them and just kind of wave this device around their pocket or wherever their wallet is and steal their information. Pretty interesting. So the same guy who did that has been creating this card that will allow you to hack into a network and take everyone's RFIDs. Now, there's so many different, like the RFID scanning cards to get into a building. There's lots of different frequencies. There's high frequency stuff. There's low frequency stuff. So what this does essentially is it puts sort of a Raspberry Pi in the middle of the operation, and then with Bluetooth it'll send you like, hey, here's the last person that it can collect them, or if you want to get in right then and there, it'll say like, here's the last person that scanned in. Just use it and scan in. You can actually use like a device like your phone or something to access the building. Pretty interesting. But the only thing is you're going to have to install this somewhere on the network, so maybe a bit difficult to deploy, but it can be done. I don't know.
Yeah, this really isn't that bad in terms of deployment and level of difficulty. The problem here is that the communication between the pad and the rest of everything is not encrypted. So if you can tap the reader pad, you can clone the RFID circuits. It's not quite that simple. RFID was never meant to be exactly clonable like that. There's some technology that's sort of built into the reader, so that the reader's not supposed to let you do that. But you can do this cool stuff in software where you can actually read the raw of everything and use that as part of the clone, and this will work fine. So you can do this and read at a distance like you were saying, or weaponize the actual near field reader on the side of the building, and then just be anybody you want to be. You can actually clone all of them.
Just go and pick who you want. Yeah.
Crazy.
So I think there'll be some fun stuff coming out of DEF CON this year. It'll be interesting to see.
Hotels are going to be interesting too.
Mm-hmm. Hotels. I mean, yeah, anything with an RFID. Some of the buildings downtown, like in financial buildings and stuff, they always have like an RFID scan for entry thing. People getting into those. People getting into the server rooms in some of those places. That could really mess up the entire financial system. Suppose someone gets into a big Wall Street bank, gets into the server room, wreaks havoc. Could be fun. Someone write a movie right now. Italy has a declaration of internet rights that that's a bill on the table right now. So it's sort of a net neutrality for all. It's really pretty. It's they say that access to the internet is a fundamental right of all persons, and they basically say that it's I guess the nicest thing out of this, it's basically a right for all people, and people have a right to not be spied upon. That's all in there as well. So if this goes through in Italy will be the second country with sort of an internet bill of rights, and yeah, they're going to be far ahead of a lot of their neighbors, especially like France and stuff, who keep getting caught sniffing people's packets and things and monitoring people. And then of course us, we're USA and London. It's just like they literally just want to. I think they would be happy if they could put a freaking person in every one of our homes just to sit there and call back every day. They're eating pizza right now. They're over there eating pizza. I'm just watching them eat pizza. Okay, Logan's got a piece of pepperoni pizza. He's putting it in his mouth. That's what they want. They want that much surveillance. They would make them happy. Oh, you've been on the screen the entire time. Well,
what?
Hey. I don't really want to say much about it, but you can go on.
Well, the spying thing, it's not even really the Blackwater or whatever they're calling themselves this week. Is the people that do the private security for America are going to be the ones that are doing that. And then pretty soon those companies are going to be like, wait a minute, there's all those unemployed factory workers in China. Let's have them keep an eye on all the American citizens. It's like, what? Wait a minute, something went wrong there. What just happened? Not really.
I want to joke around about some robots for a minute. So last week when we were hanging out with Kane at Quakecon, we talked a bit about robots, and he kept bringing up the point that robots are not going to function in the terms of what humans understand. They haven't evolved the way we have. They function differently, but still people romanticize them. And someone on Reddit just threw up this goofy poll here, and essentially they were asking, like, hey, what would you date out of all these mythical things? Apparently 20% of the people who answered this stupid poll said that they would date a robot. Now, there's something really weird about that to me, that they would even consider dating a robot. Okay, first off, a robot, there's no humanity there. It's even if they seem and act human, do you want to be dating something that's just programmed to like you? That's weird. Is it all just physical? If the robot can look human enough, is that what you want? I don't know. That's weird to me.
More people seem to be willing to date an elf.
Yeah, I mean, I see. The thing about an elf is, I guess at least an elf is, I don't know, it's a carbon-based life form. Maybe can we make a carbon-based robot? I don't know. At what point does it become not weird anymore? It's still really weird to me.
Well, I don't know at what point it becomes not weird, but it apparently becomes less weird if it's a human body with a robot brain. That one's slightly, the acceptance rate on that was slightly higher than just a robot. Because a human body with a robot brain, that's not going to end grotesquely at all. And a Tron program. A robot and a Tron program are about the same. But a ghost, dating a ghost is worse than dating a robot. So I guess that's good. And dating a Klingon is also apparently worse than dating a robot. Dating a brain in a vat is significantly worse than dating a robot.
So I think a lot of this is, it sounds to me like a lot of this is based on looks. So I bet a bunch of the people who took this were like young adolescent males who are driven mostly by, ooh, that looks good, and I'm feeling tingling things in my, parts. I can't say that right now. They start feeling funny feelings because of of looks. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. People get off the cartoons too because they look like humans, but there's nothing. And I have never even understood that there's nothing human there. It's an illustration, a drawing. Why? How does it get you excited? I don't understand. I guess it has to have a human brain for me to even understand it, or understand someone else even liking it. So guys out there who sit around all day lusting after anime characters, lusting after robots, lusting after things that are not human, inanimate, stuff like that. Help me understand. Help me understand what you're going through. I'm here for you.
I don't care to understand. There's not enough hours in the day. I've got other stuff I've got to worry about. Good luck. That's all I can say.
I would bet that some members of our audience do have more of an attraction towards that than actual humans. Maybe there's I'm okay with talking about it, guys.
I don't like people either, but I've got other stuff I've got to do. This is just not even.
Maybe they just need somewhere to direct their energy or something. I don't know. All right. How about executive orders to make faster computers? I guess Obama looked at how fast the damn Chinese computer was, and he was like, no, not going to happen. We're going to do something about it. So he's put forth an executive order that we shall make the fastest computer in the history of the earth. So I guess the one in China, what was it, 33.86 petaflops? Yeah, that's what it was? Yeah, that's what it is. The Tenash 2, is that how you say it? Anyway, he wants 100 petaflops or more.
It's still not going to be fast enough to convince Florida lawmakers of global warming. But
Is it still illegal there to say the word global warming? Is that I think in Florida they're it's just illegal there. You can't say it. I remember there was a thing for a while.
It's not illegal, but they can fine you for saying it, apparently.
Yeah.
Something about climate change.
I wonder.
Wow, Florida, really? Wow.
I wonder if they're still going to be allowed to say it when Miami's underwater. That'd be funny. It'd be coming up in a couple of years here.
It's the greatest snorkeling destination on Earth.
Yeah. And you know, it's going to be sad in like 2,000 years when Miami's like completely underwater and everyone, you know, like in the future, they're all talking about the lost city of Miami. And then they finally find it. And it's a bunch of parking lots and really ugly condos. And they're like, ugh, there's not even any like exotic statues or monuments or anything. It's just a bunch of car parks and shitty looking condo things. Ugh. Maybe they'll just leave it there. Be like, let's just leave it. Pretend we didn't find it.
But our Lord and Savior Will Smith said that Miami would be amazing. The lost city of Miami.
Oh, this poor show.
The ancient writings declare it so, and we found it, and it's much less awesome than it was written. I do not understand.
Guys, I didn't care for Miami, in case you didn't pick up on it yet. I didn't have any peers down there. It was a very sad experience. I was like, has anyone here read a book?
But Mr. Smith, is Miami better than Bel Air? That's the question.
I doubt that. I seriously doubt that.
I don't see how that can be possible. You get Philly cheesesteak in Bel Air. It's amazing.
I want that as a soundbite. Just that. You can get a Philly cheesesteak in Bel Air. How about this really crazy fast memory from Intel and Micron? They say, well, okay, there's different reports. Maximum PC reports it as being 1,000 times faster. And I've refreshed the page like 15 times to see if they're going to change their statement from 1,000 times to something else. And then I've seen on other websites where they say it's going to be 10 or 20 times faster than traditional NAND. But they also here on Maximum PC say that it's going to be 1,000 times faster and 1,000 times more, I guess, durable and stable. If that's the actual number, that's ridiculous. One of the biggest bottlenecks we've had in computing is storage. Because as fast as everything is on your bus, and as fast as your CPU is, and as fast as everything else is, your storage is always the freaking bottleneck. So this would help to remove a lot of that and make computers quite a bit faster without even needing faster CPUs. Depending on what you're doing, of course. But general computing would be quite a bit snappier. Transferring files would be instantaneous. Pretty neat.
The problem with this, physics starts to become a problem, and we have a problem with modern memory where the rate of alpha and beta decay and the effect that that has on the integrity of memory contents is kind of a problem, especially for machines that are on, like you can run the math, and with a modern DDR4 module, odds are particle interference has caused at least one bit to flip about every 8 days. And with memory densities this high, not just in flash, modern current flash, but something like this, we need really good error detection and correction technology to be able to deal with this. Proportionally, it's really not much of a problem. It's not an insurmountable problem. It's not even that challenging of an engineering problem. But when you're operating at speeds this quickly, all of the rest of the components have to be fast enough to deal with it. Otherwise, those kinds of things are going to be your bottleneck. And so even if the underlying physical switching hardware is going to be 1,000 times faster, we don't have the memory buses and processor interface to really support it. I mean, the only thing that would really benefit from something like this is going to be, if you start replacing the system memory with this kind of stuff. And 1,000 times faster, 1,000 times faster than 600 megabytes per second multi-channel. Yeah, you're getting into RAM speeds there, well beyond RAM speeds. So it'll be interesting how this might change computer architecture. There may not be much of a difference between storage and RAM with this kind of an interface, but you'll want to put that storage really close to the processor. Otherwise, the fact that it's really far away from the processor inside the computer, where far away is like a foot, it's going to increase the operational latency, which would be a bad thing.
Yeah, and basically defeat the purpose. So, I wonder if we could have like modules that essentially snap onto the back of the PCB really close to where the CPU is. Because we've seen that with some different motherboards out there where you have like an M.2 or an mSATA and it'll plug into the back of the PCB and you have all that real estate on the back of the PCB. It's just usually that's pressed up against the case. But I don't know, some of these things are so small that you could be able to clip it back there. That'd be a good spot for it, I think. I don't know. Anyway. Let's talk about some science here. And we've been talking about anti-aging for quite a while because, of course, everyone with money has been waging war on the disease of aging and getting. I guess a lot of people are lobbying even the FCC to see it as a disease, which is kind of interesting. So now there are a few different ways that aging, that they theorize that aging could work. Now, first off, they said that, okay, all your cells could just start to deteriorate over time, and there's lots of different processes involved, and this process stops working, and this process stops working. But there was another theory. Perhaps aging was a genetic process, or a sort of a genetic path, and if they can isolate that or whatever's going on, they may be able to reverse it. And they just did that in a worm. So there's a C. elegans worm, right? And the C. elegans worm, the cells start to get stressed, and then a couple weeks it dies. They figured out that there's a certain thing in the worm that's causing this, and it's not. So it turns it from a problem that's like a Medusa problem where whenever you fix one aspect, there's another head that pops up. You got to fix that aspect. If it's actually just one genetic path that they can stop or reverse or mess with, that's a whole new can of worms, everybody. I'm probably botching this terribly because I don't know anything about biology. I just try to read this stuff and be like, hey, look, there's an interesting diagram here with numbers and letters and stuff. I failed biology. I'm pretty good at chemistry, though. Don't ask any of my friends about that. So, yeah. If they can figure that out, that'd be fun. Then we could live a little bit longer.
I guess I gather the deal with this is aging controlled by a central process, or is aging the natural result of multiple independent systems breaking down independently over time? And at least in this one particular worm, it seems to be that it's a central process controlled after the organism reaches sexual maturity. And when that happens, it sends a signal to the protection mechanisms inside the worm. And those protection mechanisms allow the worm to start breaking down. So they're interfering with that, stopping that mechanism, and so far, no aging as a result of that.
That's pretty freaking awesome. That was much more elegant than what I said. Let's talk about some more biology because I failed it. How about ribosomes? So some scientists, where are these scientists from? Does it say in here? Some scientists have figured out a way to essentially give ribosomes some blueprints and then tell the ribosomes to go do stuff. Now, here's the ribosomes. They are like little molecule building factories that live inside your cells. But right now the problem is whenever they, mess with the ribosomes, they end up killing the host or, paralyzing it or something like that. So the host cell ends up dying. Well, now they've figured out some ways with magic. And what's that? Say
cancer.
What? Yeah.
Accidentally cancer. Cancer, the biological blue screen of death.
That's probably if people were selling cancer, that would be the slogan. That's awful, freaking awful. Where were we here? So they think that now they've figured out a way to mess with the ribosomes and make the ribosomes make some, do things, make some molecules, and not kill the host cell. So
no cancer. Good.
Yeah, well, the analogy that they give here, I guess I'm not sure if this is a good analogy or not, but they say it's kind of like, the cell is like a car and the ribosome is a mechanic, and you say, hey, instead of having a back seat, let's put in a truck bed. Well, now the ribosome can do that, whereas before the ribosome would put in the truck bed, but it would destroy the back seat. So now they've figured out a way to put in a truck bed without killing the back seat. Now do you understand it? Anyway, this will pave the way for some interesting biological research and biomodification, but it could also pave the way for, think about this, biological structures, biological, hell, they can start making things out of ribosomes. They can start building, who knows what they could build, things that are normally a table, I don't know, build a biological table, maybe a car, I don't know, I'm going way out there, but they could potentially do these things. They could build biological things that we could use day to day.
The quote from the article is, based on what we know about cell biology, this really shouldn't have worked. So if we extend that to the automotive analogy, It's the El Camino of cell biology.
Solar cells. This is going to be just a quick mention. Some solar cells in the future are now going to start capturing infrared. I didn't know that they didn't capture infrared already. So
well, infrared is a low energy thing, so low energy is harder to do anything with because it's low energy.
Yeah, but they say it could add an extra 30%, so a 30% boost to the cells already. But right now that infrared just passes right through the cells. So I just wasn't aware that it does. Yeah, it is, like you said, it is way lower energy, and yeah, interesting. And if you're doing infrared photography, you probably have some experience with this because you do need slightly more light to do infrared photography. Yeah, but it's the infrared light that is soaking up.
That are just there was that black level that scientists created that was like super matte black, and it looked like you were looking at a hole because nothing was being reflected from it. We need solar cells that are like that. It's anything that hits it is absorbed, basically. That would be the ultimate inefficient solar cells because nothing is being reflected at that point. It looks like a hole.
Speaking of a hole, Japan has blasted a hole in something. They just fired, they did an experiment, and they fired a 2 quadrillion watt laser. They only did it for like
replaced by those people in China that were in the factory.
This one laser. They only fired it for like a millionth of a second or something ridiculous like that. But that just blows every other record away. What are they doing with a laser like that? I want to know what they're going to do with it once they figure it out. They've got this giant test facility that they've built. It's right now, I guess the barrel of the gun is like, what, 300 feet. 300 feet long. But 2 quadrillion watts.
Wow.
I want to know what it doesn't really say much about what they're going to do with this, but maybe blow up planets? I don't know.
Blow up the Earth. It's another doomsday weapon.
They must be stopped. The Japanese must be stopped.
I suppose I could give up one of my doomsday devices and still be feared.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll talk about a couple different video games, and then I'm going to get ready to get on the plane. Retro City Rampage is coming to DOS. Actually, it's already released on DOS. So fire up DOS, man. Retro City Rampage is available for DOS. It's also coming to Windows 3.1. There's a beta version that you can play, or a prototype version that you can already play on Windows 3.1. Yes. So why would they bring this to DOS? I mean, who is still running DOS? Oh, I know why they're going to bring this to DOS, because it's sensational. And then we're going to talk about it, and now everybody knows about Retro City Rampage. Damn it, they got us. They're spreading the news. No one's going to play it on DOS. No one. I'm sorry. It's like it's on PS4 and Vita and Wii and Xbox 360 and PC and Mac and Linux and soon to be Windows 3.1 and Blu-ray, and it's on ColecoVision and TurboGrafx 16. It's on everything.
Game Boy Color. I can tell you.
No, not Game Boy Color. I don't think so. No, maybe is it? I thought it was on the old monochrome Game Boy. I don't even know.
Making sure your CSS works on the Game Boy Color is the new hot thing in web design. Let me tell you, first-hand experience.
Who the hell's doing that these days?
You don't even want to know.
Oh man, have you played Retro City Rampage? Everyone keeps telling me it's fun, and I should check it out. I want to get it on the translucent. Yeah,
I'm still trying to get my head around Duck Game, because Duck Game is kind of retro and kind of mind bending, and also really just terrible.
There was a lot of people playing Duck Game at Quakecon.
Yeah, it's not. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
we played it some on Beer Games Beer, but it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. This year at QuakeCon, we saw Duck Game. And of course, Quake was probably the game that we saw on the most monitors. Quake, the old school Doom, Duck Game, and then, of course, there was the new car game. You guys played it the other day. I can't even remember the name of it. The soccer car game. Damn it. I sound like an old man. You guys playing that soccer car game?
Rocket League.
Yeah,
Rocket League. I used to play a game called Rocket Arena way back a long time ago. It's Rocket League.
Oh yeah, I remember Rocket Arena. That was fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that a
my brain's
mod?
broken. Yeah, it was a mod.
That was a lot of fun. Anyway, that's what we saw the most. And then somewhere in the back corners, I saw a bunch of MOBAs. I'm not sure which MOBA it was. It might have been League of Legends. I don't know. I don't know the difference anymore because they all have the same. It's like they all use the same textures and they just rearrange them in different ways. They all look so similar. So
MOBA is the incubus of computer games.
All right, so just a little bit of interesting news about Fallout 4. We did not get to play that at Quakecon, but I think this is kind of interesting. Todd Howard has said that there's going to be plenty of non-violent ways to make it through missions. They want to give people as many options as they can, but you know, this isn't Deus Ex. You can't go through the entire game without killing people. He said they're not designing the game without violence in mind. So you have to, somewhere along the lines, you're going to have a little bit of combat or whatever. But he said that they're giving you lots and lots of options throughout the game to do things without violence. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting to know that you have options, you know. Violence is fun.
I don't think it'll support my play style, which is to send a legion of Securitrons out into the wasteland to do my bidding.
And then you sit back and collect the loot.
Yeah.
They come back with Deathclaw marks all over them. You're like, okay, you're not going to that quadrant anymore.
Yeah.
Nope.
Head to Dry Gulch, they said. You'll be fine, they said.
I got killed so many times there. It was worth it, though. All right, that's pretty much the end of the episode. It's time for me to get ready to get out of here. So everyone in Germany, everyone in Belgium, everyone in Switzerland, maybe Austria, too. I might go to Austria. I don't know. Because we got a car. I found out that it was cheaper to actually rent a car than it was to pay for the Euro Pass. I guess the dollar's doing decently well, so we'll have a car. We can drive places. We're not going to be like stuck. You know, we're not going to be hitchhiking, and we're not going to have to be reliant upon only going places that the rail will take us. We'll be able to go wherever. So we'll see you guys over there, and thanks again for supporting the store, and thanks again to Adorama for supporting this episode. Check out their stuff. We're going to be using the microphones that they sent over for us to. They sent them over for us to, you know, do the advertisement with, and I was like, "He's pretty cool. Can we take him to Germany?" And they were like, "Yeah, I guess you can take him to Germany." I was like, "Yes!" So I took it to Quakecon, and now I'm going to take it to Germany. But they're really making our lives easier. I was like, I never realized how nice a little wireless lavalier could be for production on the go. So I like these little products. They're cool, but yeah, that's not a full endorsement or anything because I haven't fully reviewed them. But thanks to Adorama for sponsoring, and you guys can check them out. That's pretty much the end of it, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.